Recommendations from people usually come from our previous experiences with them, the experiences of how we have, shared our inner lifestyle with them and what they have seen and the opinions they've made about us. And that is the reason one will look at you and recommend to another person if you are a worthy person that can uh, form a relationship with that person who so needs it. That is the reason today we want to look at what matchmaking does when it comes to relationship. I have with me some people who will be joining me on stage to have this discussion so we can shed light on what matchmaking does in a relationship. Let's sit down. My name is Johnny and I have with me on the program
David Boafo.
and
Oshabutululope.
welcome to the program.
Thank you.
This is Hot Butting, and on Hot Butting we deal with young people and relationship. And one of such topics today is matchmaking. Matchmaking and how it affects people in relationship. Now, let's look at what matchmaking is all about.
Oh, I believe matchmaking is, let's say, a third party between two people decides to link them together.
Hmm. Third party linking two other people together. Let me hear from you.
To me, it's more of match, bringing two people who you feel have the potentials to be together, and bringing them together to try and understand themselves if they could cohabit into a serious relationship.
If they could cohabit in a serious relationship. Wow, that's amazing. There was something you said that really, stood out for me in your, understanding of matchmaking. You said, if these two people have the potentials of being together,
Yes.
which means you as a person who is bringing these two people together, you may have known, some things about this particular person and the other person, and if you see that they are compatible, then you make
Exactly.
the move to bring them together. Wow. So have you ever been match made? Or
I-
have you ever match made people?
No, I haven't. I haven't
Wow.
been match made, neither have I match made people.
Now, if since you haven't had that experience, but you know what it is,
Yes.
if you were to be match made, how would you, how would you take it?
It depends. If I was interested or if I consented to being match made, then
Okay.
I'd appreciate it. But if it wasn't something I was looking for, then I'd prefer if I wasn't.
Oh, if you weren't at all. Okay, let me hear from you.
Well, I think at some point I've been matchmaked once. It's a different feeling entirely
Hmm.
because it's more like you don't really struggle to get this. It's just being served to you like on a platter of gold.
Hmm.
So you probably might not really value it as much as when you have to do the
Make the
extra
move yourself.
stress to get it.
Hmm. So how did you take it?
Well, I took it, but as it is, it wasn't. I didn't really take it so serious
Hmm.
because I looked at it more like, okay, now her feelings are exposed as for me to understand this is what she wants, So I didn't really take it as serious as it should have been taken, and somewhere along the line, it just went off.
Okay, so if you were to be match made, and what would be your reason for saying a yes or a no?
If I were to be match made and it's someone whom I already find attractive,
By
Maybe-
attractive?
yeah.
Is it
If,
by what you see, or you would have had time to like talk with the person?
firstly, by what I see. Then
Okay.
after a conversation, I may be able to see some underlining characteristics that you have
Okay.
that may attract me to you more.
Okay.
So if you have those, then I'd say yes. If you don't,
Then you would say a no.
no.
Okay. So what? Some people have worried about, the fact that most people who have been match made, that the relationship doesn't work. Why is that?
Most times it's basically because there is too much pressure from the matchmaker. Let me say the person who is doing the matchmaking. Let me use that phrase, the matchmaker.
Okay.
There are too much pressures from these people because their desire is that you be in that relationship. Okay, they don't really want to understand if there are some issues that you might encounter on the way of being in that relationship, but they just want you to be in that relationship. So you try as much as possible to try to take a lot of things that you discover while you're being in that relationship, you know. And like it says, there is an extent you push someone to the wall, before you know it, the person has to bounce back.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't give them the opportunity to really discover themselves. They just want it to be okay. This person is good for you. That person, just come together and, you know, start something going on.
Wow.
You know, so
that could be the reason. That pressure
That
is the
pressure.
reason why a lot of people may not work when they're match
exactly.
made. Let me hear from you.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. There's a lot of external stress coming into like the couple's relationship. I also believe that matchmaking is a 50-50 type of thing.
Oh, sure.
If you meet the person, you were just linked up by one of your friends, you don't really know what to expect. So you're trying to like keep an open mind as you're going into it. So sometimes you may get really disappointed like immediately. There could just be something that you would call a red flag on that person, and you won't just want to take it any further, or it just naturally doesn't work out. At the end of the day, you're just two strangers that were brought
Exactly.
together.
Wow.
exactly, because actually there are some things you would have been told already. Oh, this person is this person is that. And then when you get into the relationship, you discover it's not what you were told. And so you get disappointed, and there is nothing that disappoints one like walking into a situation where you thought is a perfect game, only for you to discover something else, you know. The way you would leave that relationship is like it never existed.
Okay. Wow. But however, there are some people who feel they have our interest at heart. Our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our closest friends. And then they might just see someone and recommend. Why can't we just trust their judgment? And they're not bothered about looking out for anything with them, because probably over time we've had discussions with them like, this is the kind of person I want, this is the kind of character I want in a person. And when such people make recommendations, why can't we just trust them and go along all the way with it?
Not to get it on wrong state that, oh, the recommendation is not appreciated. It is, because it's coming from like a very good place from their hearts. But at the end of the day, that person that linked us up is not in the relationship with us. There are things that are only between that person and I, or those two people, that really doesn't concern the family or concern the friend. And so it's just depending on the two of them, really.
Okay. Depending on the person bringing it and who is taking it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's just like you see this person on the outward. You don't really know the person on the inward. And what really sustains a relationship is not the external looks, it's the internal looks.
Okay.
So they might recommend based on what they see on the outside, and they don't really understand what's really going on the inside. As to be able to know, okay, this guy looks outwardly good.
Good.
But then it should be up to them to say, okay, fine, he's a good recommendation, but I think you should take your time to know this person in question. Not that they do not have good intentions. They really do have good intentions. There's no parent who would want their daughter or their son to be in a relationship that will cause them so much pain. You know, so they have good intentions when doing that, but most of the times they don't really dig deep as to find out more about this person.
So most of the judgment could be done from the surface, not really like deep down, you know, to
Exactly.
know the character of this particular person.
Yes.
Because some people just come out, the mother is my friend, he's from a good family, she's from a good family, I'm close to the parents, but they need to know deep down that it's not the parents, your child, or whoever is going to deal with. It is the individual, and you may not totally, you know, ascertain someone's total character by just the family's background.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, let's not look at it like matchmaking is such a bad thing. There are some people that it has worked for. There are some people that are still hoping that someone could matchmake them, and then they will just grab it all. Now, are there benefits to matchmaking?
Yeah, of course.
Tell me about it.
You get to meet so many interesting people. You get to build connections, and maybe not just, you realize that, okay, maybe this person won't really be a romantic partner with me, but we could be business partners, we could be good friends.
Okay.
We could meet up on like other instances that doesn't really relate to romance or anything like that. Then it also gives you an insight to what you don't want in a partner. You may see some very interesting characters that really, let me say, turn you off. And you're like, okay, I met someone with this before, I didn't like it, I'm going to avoid it from now on. So yeah, matchmaking can be very beneficial.
Can be very beneficial. Okay. All right, let me hear from you.
It could be beneficial also in the angle of you get to have more advices. You know, you get to be monitored. You have a lot of elderly people around you who would also get involved in the relationship.
Okay.
You know, so it's a different thing from when no one is really in the aware of what you guys are going on. I mean, what's going on between you guys. So that can also expose you to different ways on how to settle your issues as well. You know, so you have that guidance, you have that the ability to settle issues in a better way. You know, so I think basically those are some benefits.
But you know, someone told me that when you're match made, the person you're match made with doesn't take you seriously because the person didn't do any work. And then most times you hear words like, after all, I was just on my own when they said I should come meet you. Yeah. Why would somebody say that?
Yeah, that's because I think even if you are being match made, I think it's a decision on the side of both of you to still sit down and discuss that, okay, fine, this is what our parents want us, or this is what our friends want of us. But then it's now up to us to now sit and actually ask ourselves, is this what we want? But most of them, the moment they are matched made, immediately they start a romantic relationship.
They start falling in love.
And that's not really too good because you are falling in love based on what you're seeing, okay? Like she rightfully said, you said, okay, someone who has, you know, the physical looks she wants, you know, so for that level, you are not falling in love for the sake of being matchmaked. You are falling in love for the sake of infatuation, okay? So, and there is no way it can work out. So
there will almost, so do you subscribe to that? Like mostly there's usually no respect when two people are match made like that.
I feel if you are match made, you should agree with it. And if it's something that you agree to, it's something you're going to spend your time on. It's not just your time, it's the friend or the family member that linked the two of you up's time. It is the other person who is coming to see you's time as well. So you should at least respect that. If you're not going to put yourself into it completely, or at least just show a little effort, then why go in the first place? Do you understand?
Okay.
Why do that to these people that are having such high expectations?
Because you've agreed to be part of it.
Yes, because you've agreed to it already. So why not just follow through?
Okay. Now, when we are match made, what kind of questions should we ask the person who is matchmaking us? If I'm linking you to this young lady, I'm linking you to this young man, what questions will you ask me about her, or what will you ask me about him?
I think first of all, I need to ask questions like, okay, what is her Christian life? What kind of family background does she come from? What beliefs do you think she shares in terms of spiritual beliefs?
And then I tell you, oh no, don't worry about, I've investigated, oh, this person is just a good person, don't bother. Because these are things that happen. Some people just wait for other people to take that judgment for them. What are those deeper questions that we can ask beyond this basic, is he a Christian? Is it?
I think those questions will not be directed at the matchmaker.
Okay.
I also believe that there are some people who, let's say the universe matchmakes in such a way. You run into a salon, you meet a lady, that's nature matchmaking you, okay? But then now you have to, like you said, the deeper questions. I think it is from the person you're being matchmade that those questions should actually be directed to, because it's not everything you as a matchmaker, like I'll still say, will be able to know. There are some in-depth questions or in-depth things that even the person you're matchmaking probably has not even told you. And that's why there are some parents who say, oh, I could trust my daughter 100%, but eventually we discover that it's not even really what the parents know. There are a lot of young ladies right now who their parents do not know 100% about them anymore. So it's not, even if a parent cannot even tell you 100% about her daughter, then you need to get to the person you're being matchmade with and find out those in-depth questions.
Okay, let me hear from you.
I completely agree with you, because there's only so much somebody can know on the surface.
Okay.
You don't use face value to go into something like as serious as this, because
Okay.
it's the couple's lives that we're talking about here. So it's obviously not something the matchmaker would know. Let's say there are some particular, let's say, morality questions that
Okay.
you'd be like, okay, in this situation, what would you do? You can kind of use those types of questions to like know where this person stands on like a scale of morality.
Okay.
What would this person do? How would this person handle this situation? You could also find out like, okay, is this person mentally stable? Is this person is this person okay in whatever ramifications that you feel matter? You could also find out, I'd say, yes, like you said, the person's background, maybe where that person grew up, the conditions that the person grew up from. But I feel it's mostly to the partner that you are going to meet that you should ask these
as you
things.
rightly
Because at the end
said.
of the day, it's not really the matchmaker's business.
Okay, but well, it could be their business, because they brought you guys together. They brought the people together. Now, I'm looking at a question like this. Will the matchmaker have the time to know why the person is not in a relationship, or why the person hasn't been able to find someone on his or her own? And then what happened if they have ever been in a relationship, what happened to the previous one? Because if you're asking the person you're being matched made with, the person might want to tell you what you want to hear. But wouldn't the matchmaker want to like really know, so that, because at the end of the day, the person is like the guarantor for both of you. It's like the person sponsoring this relationship. So there has to be a lot more deeper questions to the person, because the moment you have been put to ask this particular person you're being matched made with, you're already getting into the relationship. So before you actually get to that stage, my opinion actually, before you get to that stage, you must have been able to be convinced beyond reasonable doubt by this person who is trying to sponsor this relationship, who is initiating this relationship. Like you said, how mentally stable is this person? So why are you matchmaking us? Why couldn't he find someone? Why couldn't she find someone? You understand? Pertinent questions like that. Because the moment you ask a matchmaker these questions and the person doesn't give you the right answer, then there is a problem. If you ask, why is the person not in a relationship? Well, I don't know. There has to be some, you have to know. So if you don't know, why are you matchmaking us?
Well, some people want to take self-glory.
Okay.
That, oh, I was the one who brought these two together. And just like when you go to the market, this person will tell you, my Gary is the best. Even if it's not the best, it will present it to you as the best. And I know a lot of people who take glory in, I was the one who, brought these two together. And so they don't really care about what really happened. They don't really want to know what, because like you rightfully said, let's take for instance, I am the matchmaker. I have a friend who's not been married. I tend to have some level of emotional attachment to this person. So there is nothing this person would tell me that I would not want to believe. Okay, so I would want to sympathize with the person's situation, not even finding out if actually the person had been the one at fault. I've had an instance whereby someone has been praying for someone to get married, only for the person to eventually discover that that person actually had been the problem for him, his own self rather. So sometimes people do this out of, I just want to be seen as a person who took this person out of this situation, of these marital issues. and put the person in a situation where it's best. Some people are going through issues of infertility, but they wouldn't come out to tell you that this is the reason why I'm not married. You know, so I think basically some people just do this out of the emotional attachment they have with this person, and they want
Okay.
to see this person where they feel this person should be. So they don't really care about what is coming with it. They just want that goal to be achieved.
Okay. And you have something to say? Or, well, I think before you are match made, the question is, why is someone matchmaking me? Why doesn't the person think that I have the ability to find someone? Maybe we have shown that we are lonely. Maybe we have let the person know that we are desperate. Because it is that desperate, you know, attitude that would make someone go the extra mile to say, but there is someone here, or there is someone there. Do you understand? So we, on our part, when we are not in a relationship, don't have to brandish so much how desperate we are, or how lonely we are, how much, because in your desperation, you might just make the wrong judgment.
Well, you know, even in Nigeria as we speak right now, some people don't even wait for you to tell them you are desperate. Once they look at you, they say, look, this man, you are already getting of age.
They look at your age and all
They
those
look at your
factors.
age and say, what's happening? You are supposed to be married. So you don't even necessarily need to tell them, I'm desperate, I'm looking for somebody. They're already pushing it to you. I was with someone yesterday and the person said, hey, do you live alone? I said, yes. He said, is it that 3-bedroom? I said, yes. He said, you need a woman.
Okay.
Now, did I go to meet the person
No,
to say,
no.
I'm desperate?
No.
Or- So that's why I said, sometimes, some people just look at you and they believe that, I mean, you've come of age. You should be.
You should
so
be.
before you even say, Jack, they've told you, hey, I have one
I have a sister somewhere.
sister. They already begin to have things running in their mind that probably, okay, he doesn't have the guts to talk to a woman, or probably he's trying to shy away from it. They just generate a whole lot of things in their head, and before you know it, they say, okay, I think the solution is let's bring that woman to him, you know, or let's bring that man to her. And just so.
And then in other cases, there are also people who just walk up to you and like, is that your cousin? Is that your brother?
Exactly.
Hook us up now. Do you
Exactly.
understand?
Exactly.
Connect us now. Can I have his number? Can I have that? I mean, what would make somebody say that?
If you're looking for a relationship, you are looking for a relationship. There are some people who, like he said, they will just see it on you that, oh, you're living alone, you don't have anybody. But sometimes that may just be where you want to be at that point in life.
Okay.
There are some situations where you're like, okay, right now, as I'm living, I'm not in a very comfortable situation. And one thing I don't really want to do is bring another person into that situation with me. If I really want to care about that person, I would put them first and be like, okay, let me sort all my things out first. Let me maybe get out of this debt, maybe, okay, get a job, take care of myself, so I know I can take care of that person that I want to love. So I would say it's an act of desperation in some cases.
A case where you're telling someone, hook us up or something, okay?
Yeah, it's not really a desperation. You just see, it's just something that comes up and you're like, hey, that's nice. Can you like link us up? So it's not necessarily desperation.
It's just you finding what maybe appealed to you,
Yeah.
what you would have loved even if you didn't see it.
Yes.
Okay. But now let's not make matchmaking look like it's a bad thing. Okay? Matchmaking is a good thing because you have people who are vouching for you and vouch. It's just that people begin to abuse it like every other thing. Abuse it by just connecting people, you know, indiscriminately without really knowing that this connection you're making could bring out something very serious. If we see how serious relationships are, we wouldn't just flippantly throw people into relationships because there are a lot of things happening in relationships. We'll look at it carefully and say, okay, let's connect these people for the greater good of it. Because we must have a purpose why we want to connect these people. We shouldn't just connect people because we want people to be together. Now, having said that, looking at matchmaking, are there disadvantages to matchmaking?
Yes, there definitely are. Like I said before, you will meet some interesting characters.
Okay.
and maybe in like a setting of a school now, like for Babcock, for instance, where most of us are still in this compound for like a very prolonged period of time, and I get matched up with somebody and I did not like him one bit, then I would go to like a public space like Busa and I would see him there. It's just like make a very awkward thing, and maybe unfortunately the friend that matched us up is now there and I'm like, hey, is that on? And I'm like, I really don't want to go and see that person right now.
Wow, okay.
I don't want to. So yeah, you would get to, in matchmaking you make friends, you make lovers, you make enemies. There's a whole lot of things that could happen
That
in
could happen in
matchmaking.
it. Okay, let me hear from you.
The disadvantages. I mean, the person you are being matchmake with, do you really want this person? Do you really want that relationship? Okay, and sometimes we kind of, it's exciting when someone new is introduced to you. It's just like buying a brand new car. Okay, and at that point you want to explore it. You want to, so it's not something we'll say is bad. No, matchmaking, even like I said earlier, I said even the universe has a way of matchmaking people. Okay, so it's not as if it's a bad thing, but then if that happens, what are your intentions? Do not get carried away by, oh, this is a pretty person, oh, this is a handsome guy. Don't get carried away by that. Now, what are your principles? What are those things you want to achieve through that matchmaking? Do you want something concrete, or you just want to get carried away by the appearance of the person? So it's not to say it's that bad, but then some people make it look that way because they don't really see it for the real sense of it, that okay, I'm matchmaking because of a purpose. Okay, they just take it as one fun thing to meet someone new, and they just want to explore everything, and when they are done exploring, it now becomes boring to them.
Okay. I think you guys have done justice to this already. Thank you very much for your opinion. Thank you for joining
It was
us
my
on this
pleasure.
episode today. Well, matchmaking is not a bad thing. Every matchmaker out there, please do some level of underground investigation before you bring two people together to form a relationship. Relationship is a big thing, is a big deal. If you are being matchmade, ask the necessary questions. Start with the one who's matchmaking you and know exactly who you're being matched with. It is not a bad thing. But if you rush into it, if you don't do your investigation well, it might just as well become a bad thing. But until then, I hope God matchmakes you with the right person and that you can find true love and sail with it. God bless you for being a part of us. Join us in another episode when we come your way again. Bye for now.
Last collab beat.